Representative Jack Franks, thanks for joining us. The House, as viewers can see behind you, is just officially ended for the spring session, but it's already been announced you're going to be coming back on Thursday. So you kind of technically made your deadline, but not really, I guess. What are your overall thoughts of what's transpired here this spring and where we are now?
Well, we have a lot of unfinished business. The people's work hasn't been done, so we're going to continue doing our jobs. I'm disappointed that we didn't get a budget done by today. I think the taxpayers expected us to do so, but sometimes it takes longer. And I hope that people will come together over the next few weeks and create a budget that is both balanced and fair.
You know, I was sometimes joking, there's the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and then there's the Jack Frank Party, because you're a very independent guy. So what's your analysis? If you were pointing fingers at who's wrong, people are hearing, you know, the governor says the Democrats have passed a budget that's $3 or $4 billion out of whack. You know, the Democrats would say that the Republican, Governor Rauner's proposal was out of whack because he was counting pension savings that weren't real. What's your analysis of who's right and who's wrong?
I don't think it helps to point fingers at this point. I think there's plenty of blame to go around. I think if people would just get together and really just compromise, that we'd be able to get this done in a couple of days. I think right now it's much more political than it is on the details. I think it's more of an ideology at this point, and I think it's going to take some time. But I do think we will get there. It's just a matter of when, not whether.
Is this part, and I said to someone else, we had the election last November, the governor's, it's his first dance with the legislature. Is this just a question of learning how to dance, or on the other hand, is this division? I mean, it was to be expected. It's the fault lines between the parties.
I really do believe there is. I'm not blaming the governor at all. He came in with some really serious ideas on how to shake up Springfield, and I agree with a lot of those ideas, and I think they ought to be implemented, and they haven't been. So I think he's holding to his guns, as he should. And the speaker also has some positions that he needs to protect as well for the working families of the state of Illinois, and he should stay there as well. So I think that's why I'm encouraging both sides to come together and compromise, because I think together there's a lot of good ideas there that will do well for the state.
If you had to say now, what would be, do you think, was the best thing that was accomplished up to this point in the legislature, and what's the biggest disappointment?
We didn't touch pensions at all. I mean, that is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. That's bitterly disappointing to me. And we haven't touched that. We haven't finished the budget. I mean, so there are some huge issues. So we have an incomplete grade. I don't want to give us an A anywhere else until we finish these. These are threshold issues. And if we don't deal with the budget and the pension, everything else doesn't matter.
So where do we go from here? From what we hear, the governor's about to unleash, which is really unprecedented, I think, a ad campaign targeting, I don't know if it's the Democratic Party or the Democratic leaders, but we shall see. Not only your own thoughts, but what are you hearing from other lawmakers about that approach to governing?
It's unprecedented, in our state at least. It may have occurred in other places. I think it'll fundamentally change politics. And what I'm concerned about is it might make people more partisan. And here in the General Assembly, I think it's better if we work together, but I'm concerned that if we take this approach, that people are going to hunker down and we're going to become more like Washington and not get anything done. So I'd be very careful on what we wish for here.
As we said, the legislature will now be back on June the 4th. Jack Franks, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.